Okay, all right.
Did you
That's not
get
to
it?
say we didn't get it.
No, I've been having trouble with it, so it could very well
Good
be.
evening. Welcome to the Georgetown School Committee meeting of Thursday, June 27th. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes regular session minutes of June 13th, 2013, governance session minutes of March 13th, 2013, governance session minutes of March 27th, 2013, public session minutes of May 22nd, 2013, and acceptance of warrants 51V13, 53V13, 52P13, and 54P13.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have no student rep
Student rep?
this evening. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to comment on anything on our agenda?
No laughing.
Okay,
They might want to, but they're not going to.
okay, we're
Now's the
gonna
time.
move along to administrative reports.
Yeah, so just a couple of
Halfway
things.
done.
I did just take a few minutes in the orange notes on the first page to talk a little bit about how smoothly the end of the year went and how really lovely and wonderful it is to, after a very busy, packed year of learning, to have the opportunity to see all of the great celebrations of learning that happen in our schools. And I know some of you were able to come to some of them as parents and then were able to drop by, I'm sure from school committee perspective. But there were just so many things that were just wonderful to see. And the enthusiasm of the students and the teachers, and it was a long year, but you just couldn't help but being really impressed with what you saw and what was going on. So, hats off to everyone, students, staff, faculty, administration, everyone. As I said, this year, went very smoothly. It was very busy. I'm sure as you had a chance to review the strategic plan and you saw all of the things that have been done to meet all of the objectives that we set. And obviously you can also see the things that we still have to do because it's work that's never done. But it is the only profession I think I can think of that has a fresh beginning in September and an opportunity at the end of the year to celebrate learning and growth, and be a community of learners and be together. So I just wanted to let you know just how well I thought the year went and to give public thanks to everyone who participated in all of the work they did over the course of this past year. As part of our public relations communication plan, I told you we were going to do a cable television show, and the plan in the plan for next year is to do a number of these. We want to be sure, however, that the topics we cover are of use and interest to the public. So. The first one we decided, again, fitting tribute to the end of the year and our seniors. Cole Martins, who was our rep to the school committee. He's also the student council president. He and Jamie Block, who's also a senior at our school, came to my office and we did this little television show. I did include, for your information, generally the script I followed. It was very much a conversation as opposed to a question answer. And they were just phenomenal. They were so articulate and bright and enthusiastic. And I think reflective and contemplative about what's going to happen for them going forward. But they are certainly a tribute to our school. And if you have a chance, Charlie was going to take it back and do a little editing. He didn't get back to me yet on when it's going to air. For all I know, it may have already aired. But I think Charlie found it very interesting, and he's a citizen, of the town. And if it really, Charlie's been a real advocate for this. You just need to keep telling the school stories. There's great things going on, and he's, the champion for going to every activity that we ask him to do, and memorializing it on cable television for everybody in the community to enjoy. But this is something he's been really encouraging for a couple of years now. So I was really happy to do it, and I look forward next year. So certainly welcome any input from the community and from the committee regarding what kinds of topics you think people might like Charlie suggested, doing a kind of an update on the Pembroke project. People might have some questions about, that project going forward. And then, special education is always a question. Every time we start talking about special education and how it works, I think people are informed a little bit more about the kinds of programs and services we offer and why we offer them. And so, we can do something on that as well. But we've talked about doing a budget 101, for the community in terms of just what goes into the process and how do decisions get made. So those are all ideas we can work on. But, I think if we shoot to do a minimum of 4, maybe we can do 1 a quarter. Maybe we can do more, but I don't want to over promise. I'd rather do what we're doing well and have it be timely information. So I just wanted you to know that I had a blast personally, and the 2 kids were just phenomenal. So I'll keep
Did they
you
know the
posted.
questions you were asking?
Well, I talked to them, they came a little early, and I talked to them about it, and I said, if there's any questions here you're not comfortable with, or if there's something you'd like me to ask that I'm not asking, that you think would be good, and so that, they were not, they didn't have a chance to study them, but they knew kind of what I was going to ask, and sometimes I might ask them in a different order given where they took the question or they took the answer. So, but it was fun. It was fun.
That's fabulous. Thank you
Yeah,
so
it
much
was
for
fun.
doing that.
Well, it was a good time. And then the other thing that I wanted to go over a little bit with you and entertain any questions or comments that you have. As promised, you now have another binder. This one is on the strategic plan, and we're making them for the administrators and others. Laura was trying to put it together in time before she took a couple of days. So Julie was helping us with some covers, and one of the covers that the cover I chose had to do with a compass. And, it's kind of sort of charting the course and leading the way toward excellence and equity for every child. That's kind of been our motto for a while. And I thought the compass was a really nice symbolic way to capture that. So what I did is just now have a vessel for the information we gave you before. So just at the beginning is just that overview that I had given you at the beginning of the process. In tab 2, the color codes are the 3-year goals, basically, are in the yellow. Summary of just the main goals and actions, and then of course the table follows it. So that's the drilled down detail below that, and that's the general overview of the plan. Then when you slip to section 3, which is the part I would talk to you about tonight, anytime we do an update, I would plan to have you slip it in. Well, you can organize your binder any way you want. I don't want to micromanage that, but if it were me, I would slip all the updates into that section. So I just did a little overview of what you're going to be reviewing, and then just highlighted a few of the major accomplishments that I felt we did this year. The MCAS action plans, I think you could see that our goal for those is that's cyclical. That the data drives the goal development, then you do the actions related to what you need to do to meet those goals, and then you measure it with your data, and it's just a continuous improvement cycle. I know Julie did a presentation on the district performance improvements, and then each school improvement plan reflected those as well. And remember, the goal is relationships, interconnectedness, not individual silos, everybody working in isolation. In the area of special education, I highlight that with new special education director, she's had a year now to look at all the programs and services, working with the administration, working with the staff, and we've done quite a bit of redesign of programs and actually added the summer program is different this year. We think it's going to better meet the needs of the students. We've increased services to some of the programs that we felt were in the greatest need, and we are going forward with revising our language-based programs for next year. So those programs were definitely a big portion of what we did this year and accomplished. Curriculum, always, one of the job one of why we open our doors every day is to make sure our curriculum and instruction and assessment are very solid. Today, I spent most of the day at the State House with 85 other superintendents, talking to the legislature about the value and importance of reform and how we think that many of the things that have been coming around since ed reform began are excellent in their concept, and in education in many ways has definitely improved as a result. But one of the things that we're finding and we've been finding, and this plan actually I think proves it even to a greater extent, is that we're driven by so many initiatives and reforms at one time that are huge in nature, that all districts are sort of, no matter whether you're big, small, rich, poor, are all struggling to just manage all of them and do them well. For example, the anti-bullying law is huge in and of itself. The federal regulations for nutrition are huge in and of themselves. The teacher evaluation process, redesign of all the way we're evaluating, is huge in and of itself. The new MCAS Park assessment, again, huge in and of itself. The Common Core standards now, require, those are just the ones I can tell you off the top of my head. There are all kinds of other ones that, have been layered on as well. And it's not that any and all of them aren't good. In fact, there's a lot of good in them. And that was the message that the people who spoke today gave. We're not complaining about work. We're not complaining about the value of these things. We're just saying we need to have a more deliberate, purposeful manner in which we have the opportunity to do the work. Because at the end of the day, it's the kids that matter. And we're educating children for the 21st century, not just filling them full of, information that they can't manage anyway. So it's still about the whole child. It's still about the work of education. It's not about compliance 100% of the time. So
Was there any back and forth?
actually, there were some questions. The legislature asked some questions, and actually, at one point, somebody said, "How many superintendents are there in the room?" And when every hand in the room went up, that you could just see them going, "Oh!" A couple of them said, "We've never had this many." Superintendents in the room. So they took the opportunity to sort of say what they were thinking. So it's a little bit of that. But the goal, one of the takeaways is we hope that they'll establish a commission that will sit with all of the various groups, MASC, MASS, the teachers associations, and they'll really look initiative by initiative and just try to create a more deliberate action plan. Right. So I think there was a lot of support for it. I mean, I really sat there today and said, wow, I'm so glad I'm in this field, because there was such enthusiasm to do the right thing on everybody's part. It's just that people have to agree on what that looks like, and that's the devil's in the details. Yeah. So it was very exciting to be there. Very exciting to see how well it was received, and now we see what happens next. It was the House Education Commission.
One of the benefits of Massachusetts.
Yes. Honestly, I was very proud of my colleagues. Very happy to be there today. So curriculum, Julie's done yeoman's work along with the people at the schools, the teachers on the vertical team. Next year, we're adding a math team and a science team. The whole park assessment, the focus you saw on writing this past year, trying to make sure everything lines up and there's consistency, and then obviously aligning to the standards. And I've been, again, impressed with the volume of work that's been done, the level of understanding, and the willingness of the teachers to make, very significant changes. Student support, one of the things that is very important to us is this idea of response to intervention, which in my mind is just really effective, good teaching. But it's not a small initiative to undertake. It's a regular ed initiative. It's not a special education initiative, although special education is usually one of the tiers for the children who really have the farthest to go. And you'll be hearing more about RTI next year, because one of the things we did this year is we just started to really try to formulate a common district vision for it, but we have not really launched it in any kind of a full scale. And again, I think the most important thing to remember about RTI is it's not a new initiative. It's a way of delivering the instruction and the curriculum that we would deliver anyway, but it's providing varied time and support on all ends of that spectrum for students. So there are some changes teachers make in terms of the way they schedule, the amount of time, they spend on certain things, how they modify work. So there are adjustments teachers make, but it's not another new initiative. And we really, when we talk to the teachers about it, we really need to emphasize that. It's not another new initiative. It's just a little bit of it's a different way of doing some of the things we're doing currently. Facilities, a lot of work in facilities. Mike Anderson has done an amazing job, I would say. We've done some structural restructuring of the way the positions and how work gets done and what gets emphasized. And I think, I'm very impressed when I drive into the schools now and I see the mulch and the grounds are usually, groomed very nicely, and there's a system and a plan for that. So that's something that I notice. Of course, we're looking forward to the turf field and working on that, and of course the Pembroke project. Hopefully break ground in October, the end of October. So, Rob's working that committee's action's kicking up a lot now. Trying to get down to the final design and final details. But that's been a major piece of work, for all of us this year in terms of getting that project to completion. And then in communications, clearly the revision of the district website, the schools' websites have been revised. The principals have been really working hard through their newsletters, through their online communications, to give and get information from their constituencies. A lot of work done this year with the unions, keeping those lines of communication open, having a lot of positive discussion, and coming up with some really, I think, very positive and creative action plans to manage some of these new initiatives, to get contracts settled that I think are fair and respectful to our employees, and yet benefit the district as well. Technology is an area that we have quite a bit of work that needs to be done in, and I'm going to be, Joan and I were talking about it, I'm going to be proposing that next year in the budget that we really take that on and look at that as I'm talking more about the overall structure for how we like through maybe a technology director or a technology coordinator, somebody, Peter's done an awful lot of work to help us, Barry, Mary Ellen, Kyle, all of our technology staff. But I think we're going to be at the point with Pembroke coming online the following year, that with all that new technology, we have to look at technology at the middle high school. I think we need somebody who's really going to take that on and have that be their job. Just like we've seen with Mike, between the principals and the people in the business office, everybody really did their best to really kind of take the maintenance and custodial stuff on. But we can see having Mike,
Yes.
as somebody who's designated for it has really made a difference, and I think that same thing would be true for technology. So that's something, a foreshadowing, but there were some things that were done this year in technology. Thanks to, Peter and Julie, with this teacher evaluation thing, we're getting a new software package which will help manage that process. The telephone and intercom system upgrades will be significant. Peter's done some work upgrading the business labs, and the workstations for all the teachers in the middle high school have upgraded workstations. They're not new, but thanks to a donation, they're much better than they were, so that's all good. And we're always talking about smart technology in the classroom, tools for learning. Pembroke now, next year, will have every classroom will have a smart board in the classroom. Margaret, everybody in kindergarten and grade 1 has a smart board in the classroom. There are portable laptop labs that have been purchased. And I think, middle high school, we really want to look into, do we want to do a bring your own device? Do we want to do a one-to-one initiative? What do we want to do in that way? And that problem becomes much smaller when you have a building project that's going to take into consideration upgraded technology for every elementary student. The question is, how much of that technology stays in the new school? How much of that technology can be relocated? Peter's been actually, I had a demo from a gentleman that, I think Peter sent him to me, but I have a feeling it was a backdoor way to get me jazzed up about it, which did happen. But this gentleman came in and did this demonstration using, was it ITV or Apple TV, which was done literally with a projector that it does the functions of what a smart board does, and it puts a device in the hands of the child. So it was very cool. It reminds me that just how much I don't know about technology and how exciting I think it can be to continue to move our district in that direction.
Now, was that in place of a smart board?
Well,
That's the direction we'll go in the middle high school.
he wants to pilot that, to take a look
It's,
at that.
It's, what it has over a smart board, besides being a third of the cost, is it's wireless. So you can just walk around with your iPad, or a kid can, and we already have projectors in the middle high school, so we just have to buy an adapter, and honestly, I'm not too impressed with the smart boards. They don't last very long. Most people only use them as a projection device. They're not really using them for all the smart things that you can do.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that I think that's true, but I think that one of the things that we're trying to do, we're calling them Technology Mondays, is give the teachers an opportunity. Our tech staff has been working with them on all the different ways you can use a smart board. So it isn't like a glorified overhead projector,
Right.
Or a way to do a big PowerPoint presentation, because they really are powerful tools. But one of the things that when the gentleman demonstrated it for me, what he did is, there's a lot of stuff out there on the flipped classroom where teachers can do their lessons, put them up online, students can access the lessons online, and then be working, everything is about hybrid and online to some extent. So what he did is he did a quick math lesson for me on his device, and he projected on the screen so I could watch it, and then he pushed the record button, recorded his lesson, and then put it right up online. So I could just have gone if I wanted. If I missed the lesson for some reason, I could just go click on the lesson and see it. So it took him 5 minutes to do it. But
So there's just like a website that you then go on.
yeah, he would have
when the
many
kids go
teachers
home.
have websites. Many, Edline, everybody has a website. So those are just tiny things. So we haven't really looked in that direction fully yet, and that's why I think having a technology director, really putting an emphasis on it, I think it would make sense to do. And then of course the budget, we reformatted the budget thanks to Joan's expertise, and it went, I think, very well. I think it's going to be much easier for us to manage. Not only that, but I think it was easier and user-friendly, not only for you, but for Finance and Advisory Board as well, to understand. Having the backup information was great. And then I think the fact that we were able to help the town understand our challenges with special education funding, and the fact that they put that funding, into our budget that they gave us at town meeting. I am very grateful for that, but I think it does speak to, the fact that we have a very transparent relationship, and I think there's some trust, and people understand, that we're all trying to do the same thing. That, but that, I think that's an accomplishment. I'm very proud of that. So, thinking forward to 13, 14, we obviously need to develop a more well-defined action plan, but just for some of the major things, we need to continue to align our curriculum to standards, and the park assessment. The park assessment will take the place of MCAS in English Language Arts and Math beginning in 2014-15. So we're making the adjustment in alignment to standards, and actually this year's MCAS, this year, the year you're in now, the MCAS was part new standards, part old standards, right? So the next MCAS is going to be the new standards.
So 2013, 2014.
Yeah, so we really need to be moving, and then the new assessment will be the following year. So I think, it's a pretty aggressive timeline, but, we're taking it seriously and looking at, not looking at it as a sweeping change, but looking at it as where are those places that we need to, like, for example, the question types, they're asking the questions in slightly different ways. So what we need to do is work with the teachers to line up the way they're asking their questions, so that the students have more opportunity to analyze, more opportunities to draw data from the text when they're giving their opinion. I'll give you much more information about that if you're interested next year as we roll this out. But just know that that's going to be a major focus for next year. Beginning the implementation of RTI. We have to implement the new evaluation system. I'm actually really excited about it. This summer, we have a little steering committee, an advisory committee made up of teachers and some administrators, and we're actually going to be working this summer with our team to develop the training modules for next year. So the principals and this core group of teachers from their building will be delivering the modules. We're working with Teachers 21 as our consultant. And, I think the spirit, and I think there's a little fear, as there always something new, but I've been really pretty happy and impressed with the way the teachers have been participating in this. And I think you change behaviors before you change attitudes. So, we have to try it, we have to do it, and we have to show people that, this is going to be good. But we got to work out the bugs. So, that's going to take a year of. And we're going to be talking a little bit about this with Mike Gilbert when we meet with him, because you need to evaluate me using the new system as well. We have two new unions to negotiate with, or 2 units to negotiate with next year, the custodians and the cafeteria. We'll start that process probably in October. And then got to complete the feasibility study. That's moving along, but that's got to get finished. And we're going to break ground on Pembroke and oversee the construction of the first year of the construction. And then, as I mentioned, the technology plan is going to be fairly significant. So I really feel like it's been a very productive year. We're busy, probably sometimes busier than we want to be, but it really does take a lot of work on the part of everyone working together. I think that's one of the things I'm most grateful for here, is the feeling I have about what a kind of a team we have, and we're all committed to doing what we need to do. So the format here, and hopefully this works for you. We've done this in the last few years, but we take each of the goals and the action step, and if it's green, it's completed, largely completed. Even though sometimes you still see action steps because maybe that aspect of it was done, but then there's something coming after it. And then the evidence, it started out to be a 47-page document. We cut it back. But we think it's important to just highlight a few of the things. There's probably more that we could highlight, but this is the evidence that we have, that we were working on that, and for the reason for our rating. There are a couple of reds. We highlight those. But, I think the best thing, since you've had a chance to read it, is maybe we'll entertain any questions that you have, or if you feel you need to have more time to review it and you want to ask more questions at the July meeting, that's fine too. Whatever works for you. Okay.
Is this when you want questions?
Yeah, whatever you want.
Because I did have a question.
Yeah.
So I noticed that one of the things that's not yet begun is to schedule wellness committee meetings and determine
Yes.
the focus for the year. And I was wondering who is the wellness committee? Who and what is the wellness committee?
Yep.
And
Well-
what's our role in it?
Well, the law requires that we have a wellness committee,
Uh-huh.
because we have a wellness policy. So the way it used to work is there was also a health advisory committee that we had when we had the health grant,
The nurse leader.
the nurse leader.
Yes.
And when the nurse leader position was eliminated, and that's something that I would like to discuss at some point, just bringing back, providing a stipend for one of our nurses to be able to take some of those roles. But we don't currently have a nurse leader. And so there was nobody to run the wellness committee, so I agreed to do it. And last year we went for 2 years. We met pretty regularly. Margaret was a regular attendee and contributor, which was great. And we developed the wellness policy and all the elements of the wellness policy. And then what we started to do was, in subsequent years, we did a survey for food service. We worked on, modifications and changes. But this year, we just were not, there just wasn't the participation. Pam has done a great job being our secretary, and she would put out, we're gonna meet on such and such a night, and, for whatever reason, people couldn't come, and, we definitely need to get it back up and
Who are
running.
the other members of the committee?
Well, Barbie was on the committee. When
Teachers, we had.
we had
We
teachers,
had
we had
various parents. We had a group of parents.
like
but,
5 or 6 parents. Yeah.
I mean, for the past 2 or 3 years before this year.
Yes, this year
they
was
came
just
on a
an-
regular
yeah.
basis, but
So-
this year just,
Well, I'm just curious, sort of, the school committee, we have our subcommittees, so the
Yes.
wellness committee is not one of our subcommittees.
No.
No.
So where does it fall in the general,
it's an advisory committee to the district
right.
wellness coordinator.
That's right.
So it's really, just to advise the
and
district
how do people find
wellness
out about this
coordinator.
committee and offer to be on it and?
It's on the website. There's a lot of information about it on the website.
Yeah. I think if we're
School
gonna,
website.
part of the action that we have to do is we have to promote it more, and we have to determine what what kinds of people we want to have on it. Are you looking for
Anyone who is
just,
able to attend.
are you looking for parents from all levels? Are you looking for, people who have a certain expertise, like there was a physician that, was on it for a while? So I think that's part of it, is determining, who would be the best to have on this committee,
We had parents who were nutritionists who had a professional background in that
Yeah.
area.
So part of it is we need to really define again, like Diane Halapowski was on it and came to the meetings when we were talking about the,
So here's my
nutrition
question, when you
guidelines.
say we
Yeah.
need to decide who is the we that's doing the deciding?
what deciding about.
You keep saying, we need to decide, we need to decide, we need to decide.
Right.
And I'm wondering, who is the we that is doing that decision-making? We, the school committee, we, the school community, we, the school leaders?
Well, you have a
Who-
policy, and in your policy, it says that a wellness committee will be established.
Yes.
Now, we'd have to look at the policy to see if there's something in there that says who decides who it is. I don't seem to recall that.
Okay,
I think
okay.
it's that it's basically a wellness policy, and the policy basically identifies the areas of that are going to be
Okay.
that are going to be looked at, and the purpose of the wellness committee is to review the policy and just make
There
sure
are
that it's
areas.
making progress.
Right.
I
And
mean,
you're right,
that's
the policy
pretty
gives
much 'cause-
structure to the work of the committee.
Yeah.
But it is to advise the
Yes.
wellness coordinator, so it's really, it's what the wellness coordinator finds useful and necessary, and if,
And we don't have a
If-
wellness
And that's the
coordinator?
that's
know,
part of it.
right, and
Well,
that
Carol's-
may
Carol's
be
at
a
that
lot
position
one
also.
year,
I'm
and maybe
wellness
not a
coordinator.
lot another year.
Yes.
It's going to vary from year to year what the wellness coordinator finds
Right.
important.
I think one of the things that has been tricky about it is, so let's say we ask the principals to come to, and, because we're gonna talk about how we're doing with the bullying and intervention component of it. So the tricky part is to make sure that feels like, the principals aren't like, that they're not reporting to a committee that's somehow gonna tell them a million things that they need to do. It's how do you keep it so that it's advisory, so, there's a communication. So we're gonna talk about, for the next 3 meetings, we're gonna talk about the part of the plan that deals with the bullying law and how we're implementing it. So then who should be invited to the table? How are we gonna structure that? I think that's part of what is still a little gray to me. Right, because to me, there are different aspects of the wellness policy that some people, like, we're going to talk about, and what was it, like, K through 12 physical education, right? Well, then you'd want to invite the people that are phys ed teachers into
Absolutely.
that conversation
Absolutely.
as well, right? So I think that it's been difficult to get people to participate. I think that's it.
Really
It's
to give a voice to the community, including the school
right.
staff community. I mean, it's just, to get a
Right.
conversation going so that we can identify
But it's one more
concerns
thing to people,
and
and then sometimes
priorities
people
and
are like, well,
values.
what am I gonna, if I come, what do I get out of it? What's
Well,
gonna,
if I have ideas and
Yes,
I
yes,
will
send them-
your
send them.
way. I'll have a proposal,
Right.
and I actually think I have a proposal that may
Okay,
Get people interested in participating
All
or
right.
attending those meetings.
All right,
It's
good.
For
We'd
the
like-
well-being of the community.
we would like
So-
to hear that.
Okay, great.
Would like to
Great.
hear that.
So it's you I will send that to.
You send that to me, and I'll make sure we use it. So, other things that jumped out at you, questions?
I do have a question. In red, it indicates, visiting, they're not numbered, so. The fourth page in, we're talking about expanding the foreign language offerings at the middle school.
Yep.
And in red, it indicates that we have not yet begun to visit schools offering foreign language at different grade levels.
That's right.
Make recommendation for foreign language instruction. My question is, who would be going to visit the schools? Would it be the current language arts teachers that would be going to other schools to see what they offer and how the programs are?
You talking about foreign language?
Yes.
Well, we have to decide that, right? So first thing we would want to have is engage with the administration, to look at it, just to do a quick survey of who has foreign language.
Right.
One of the things we might want to look at when we open the new school is, we're going to look at everything when we open the new school as we prepare to open the school. Maybe it makes sense to have, a special in fourth and fifth grade, in a foreign language as opposed to something else we might offer. So some of these things, remember, this is a 3-year plan. That could be a 4-year plan, right? So it would be, I think the administration would be where we would start.
Well, Mandarin was offered prior to me being on the committee, so
Yes.
let's just take that. What was the driving factor of
Mandarin?
offering that particular course?
Peter, you can help with this too. We looked at Mandarin because the economy is on the Pacific Rim.
Right.
So if we were trying to, and at that point we had French was kind of
Yeah, well, we actually looked at it because I had a math teacher that could teach Mandarin.
That was an
And-
advantage. That's right. That's right.
Oh, that is a great advantage.
We thought that's, we're looking ahead, it wasn't 21st century yet, but
No.
we were looking ahead to 21st century learning and the world economy
Right.
and what some of the other schools that we have a lot of respect for offer. And French was a factor because it was dying out, so that's why we did it.
So you were finding the enrollment in French wasn't as good as it had been in years past?
Right.
No, it was really dying. As a matter of fact, we went a year where there were literally no French kids that signed up. So we went a year, we just got through the cycle. It was like we didn't offer French 1, and then the following year we didn't offer French 2, 3, and 4. So at that time, Mrs. Hayes came to Georgetown and really rejuvenated
She
the
did.
program.
She's awesome.
And numbers are good.
Numbers are good. Yeah.
And now, how are the numbers in Mandarin?
Not bad. Off the top of my head, well, I know Mandarin 1 is a combination middle school, high school class. So in most level 1 foreign languages are 8th grade because we have exploratory in the 7th and then they take level 1 in the 8th grade. But we also don't want to exclude high school kids, so we allow them to jump in. So there are 3 high school kids in Mandarin 1 and 27 8th graders. So that's a big thing.
Do you think the exploratory time frame to go into in 7th grade, the time frame is sufficient for the kids to figure out what they really want?
I think it's the best we can do. The reason why we did that is because we were just asking 8th graders to choose a language without a taste of anything.
Right.
And we polled them, asked them why they picked the language. Most were taking Spanish. There were lots of reasons, but the predominant reason was that's because what my brother and sister took. So we wanted them to really get a taste of each, and since we had 3, we actually have a tri-semester in the 7th grade, just for that course. So we split the year in 3, and it was an adjustment period with the teachers, because the teachers initially were teaching it as the beginning of the language, which is not what we wanted. We wanted them we wanted it to be an exposure.
So like an overview of it, like.
Yeah, and so we made it pass-fail, and it's project-based, and they do the exact same thing in each language, so the kids can really compare apples to apples.
It's great.
Yeah, and so that's part of the whole process of alignment, right? So that's why we said, well, we should look at it at the elementary level too, just in case that, knowing that we're doing a different configuration, do we want to start something, even if it's just at the upper elementary?
But with the foreign language, the foreign languages that we offer,
Yes.
are we happy with the ones that we've chosen to offer the students?
I think we're happy with it. I
Yeah.
would add, personally, I would add Latin, because I think,
We would love to.
Yeah, because I think
add
Latin is the English language is, comes from the Latin roots. I would love to add
And
Latin.
we don't have Italian, right?
We don't
do
have Italian.
We do French, Spanish.
We do French, Spanish, and Mandarin. That's right. We don't have Latin.
Which is
Yeah,
pretty
I
good for a
wonder what
school
it
our
would
size too. If we were a big school, we'd probably be talking about German,
Right, right.
maybe Italian.
We did offer Italian, did we not?
No,
We
not
haven't.
since I've been here.
Never.
I've never
Not
seen
my
Italian.
time. No.
Now, if we
Consider
ever did
moving this to
something like the
6,
virtual high school,
exploratory.
Yeah,
To 6.
then you could offer.
then you could offer those kind of languages. Kids could take them online.
Have we ever considered offering the exploratory year in 6th grade versus 7th?
Yeah.
I
we
think
have.
at one point you
And
did,
you
right?
decided that wasn't.
That was before me.
1.0 FTE for the cost.
Okay. I just was wondering.
That's,
Yes, it was discussed, and actually, I think that the first year I came with the failed override, I think the exploratory program at the middle school was cut
Yeah.
at one point, and
Yeah.
we did bring it back. We brought it back because we thought it was important.
It'd solve a lot,
Reasons
it'd solve a lot of scheduling things that we're wrestling with in the 7th grade. Because then you'd have 5 in the
Yes,
7th grade. If you did it in the 6th, you'd have 5 academic classes.
yeah.
And it would allow us to do some other things that right now we can't do.
So are you saying that would be
Schedule-wise.
good?
Yes, he's
Oh,
saying
yeah.
that. He's saying that would be good.
Okay,
Yeah.
but it's, okay.
It'd free up electives too for everyone.
But is it a budget?
Yes, that's what he's
Yes.
telling you.
Okay.
Is the philosophy around choosing what foreign languages you offer around the ones that are most commonly sort of used later in life, or what the students enjoy? Like, what's the underlying philosophy
Yeah.
of the 3 that you picked?
Well, I think the Spanish has been around for a long time.
Yeah, Spanish and French were always here,
And they've been
Well, and it
historic
sounds like-
in most, they've been
But
historic in
there's also
most high
grounds
schools.
for offering Spanish as
Yeah.
the demographics of
Yeah,
this country
country
shift.
shift,
That's
yeah.
what
I'm
it is
thinking.
a very
Yeah.
common language.
Spanish is very important to kids because that's the language that kids in their school speak.
Right.
And
Right.
it's common to them. It's probably the foreign language that they hear most.
Most,
Yes.
yeah. And French, I think, it's just one of those romantic languages. It's been.
Yeah, when we were thinking about cutting it, the French department came out with a thing this long about why we should be teaching French. So there's plenty of literature out there on that one, let me tell you.
And then like Peter said, we added Mandarin for the reasons he said, but also because the economy is on the Pacific Rim. So we thought that made the most sense. But like I said, I think Latin is one of the things, if we were thinking of adding something, that's what we'd like to add.
okay, thank you. That was the only questions that I came across
Okay.
when I was,
All right.
does anybody else have any questions?
Okay. Then that concludes my comments. Thank you.
We're gonna go into school reports?
Oh, so let's see, I'm sorry, here I am, thinking I'm done. Well, there are no school reports, but we had a couple of department reports. Julie wanted to quickly, just discuss with you the professional development plan. You know, she came back recently, she came and she talked about the summer professional development plan, but this is the plan next year, and you'll see that, all of the things she's gonna talk about link back to the strategic plan. And then I think just a quick update on the evaluation software, so you know a little bit more about that.
Last time I was here, we talked about our summer offerings, and we went through this packet. At the very beginning is a reemergence of what you saw at the last meeting. And our major focus this year is definitely what Carol spoke about earlier. Training teachers on the new teacher evaluation, or I should say educator evaluation.
Yes, it is an education.
Program, because we'll all be in that. It's not just for teachers, it's for all administrators and any teacher that we have within the district. So we've contracted with Teachers 21, who will be working with our strategic committee over the summer and with our administrative team to devise a series of trainings for the different schools. The trainings will all be the same, but all the administrators will be taking part in learning how to roll out, is the word that they use, or the term they use, the different types of trainings that we need to offer to teachers so that they're well versed within the system and feeling confident about what step they have to take next. And so we'll have to do some trainings on the different steps that I have here. We'll do an overview training on September 3rd, our first day back. And we'll unpack the teacher rubrics and talk about all the different elements that reside within the rubrics for the teacher evaluation system. But also how helping teachers devise their own goals, the SMART goals that they'll be working on over the course of the 2-year cycle. And in addition to that, the educator plans, and those plans are plans that they'll make for their own professional development, whether it be within the context of what we offer in the school system for professional development or in outside coursework, graduate work, action research projects, which I really hope to see happen, and things like that. And we'll also talk about one of the big things that we're really looking at right now is district determined measures and how we will gather data in the district across grade levels and across schools, and how we'll use that data to determine student growth and things like of that nature, which is one of the hallmarks of the new assessment system. And the other big one is curriculum alignment, and continuing to align to the Massachusetts English Language Arts and Math frameworks, all the expectations within those, the new PARC assessment system, how we'll be getting ready for that. And those are huge in and of themselves. They could, one could overshadow the other. So we tried to break them up so that we would work on the teacher evaluation or educator evaluation system for the majority of the full professional development days, and the curriculum work we would work on in our half-day series that we have spread out throughout the school year. We wanted to give equal weight and measure, but we knew that the educator evaluation system was definitely something we needed to target first. Yeah, get everyone feeling confident about that and and get that underway. And so that is the driving force, or those two things I should say are the driving force within this. We're also looking at training teachers. This year we trained our middle and high school teachers in a math program with Andrew Chen, and he worked on aligning to the new frameworks from grades 6 to 12. So we want to be able to build in some math training as well for our K-5 teachers, something along the same lines. Obviously not in the same depth that you would teach a math high school course, high school math course, but also working within those new framework expectations and aligning curriculum with that. And we'll continue with our writing and our portfolio work and our assessments.
And there's special ed trainings.
Special ed trainings
very
throughout the
specific for
entire
special
school year.
educators.
Yes, so there's a lot going on.
I know,
There'll be
it
a
sounds
lot going
busy.
on.
It is busy.
Very busy, but it's good work, and there isn't one thing I think that's really more important than another. It's just trying to get it all in and making sure that we've touched on all those aspects that we want to.
And the only way to make sense of it is to connect it, because otherwise it is overwhelming if you have, 10 different separate things going on, so it's always hoping to connect how the standards, fit in with the training on RTI or it's
How we
all,
build our assessments
Yeah.
and how we can incorporate
Yeah.
those things
how we
into everything.
incorporate them in
Indicator
our curriculum
evaluations
units.
and-
Yeah.
yes.
Even the technology, we realized we couldn't have put it in here, so we wanted to do technology Mondays, or we might have to do technology Tuesdays. Because of our faculty meetings
Yeah,
and
that's
things
right.
like that on Monday. So just trying to figure out different places where we can do these things, so that it's not overwhelming, but they're all simultaneous.
There are some trainings you have to do with everybody, and then there are things like this Technology Mondays, where if you determine what the topics are, some people would be able to come because it was something they were interested in.
Right, so
you
it's
know,
a different focus.
Not
every-
everything is, everybody's got to do it in the same time and fashion.
Right.
Same way you do it in the classroom. Not everybody has to do it in the same time and fashion. You try to figure out ways to tap in where some people are and what they'd like to learn, and then they're more invested in it.
Do you see light at the end of the tunnel, or do you feel like you're?
I love it. Don't get me wrong. I think it's great. I think of all the things I wanted to see happen, this is what it is, but I don't know if I would have chosen it all at the same time.
The reason I ask is just there's such a difference in human performance and stress with when you see an end to it, or there's a sense of versus being overwhelmed. And I'm just curious.
Well, I think it depends. It's funny, and I think about the rate of change of things that we really had to do in the first, I'd say, the last 4 years. It felt like this. And then, now I feel a little like, it's too bad that there are these external things coming at us so quickly, because I really felt like people were catching their breath, because if you listened to the teacher talk, or you could see that people really had assimilated a lot of the language, and you could see it is happening in classrooms very differently. You could see the coordination through the principals and the groups, between Pearlie and Pembroke is so significantly different than it was 4 years ago or 5 years ago. Margaret and Donna, have really worked, together, and obviously Julie's help and everybody pulling together. It's just really coming together. But the problem, Rob, is I don't know whether there's a light at the end of the tunnel, because it's not internally driven.
And we live in a
It's
very rapidly
it's
changing
externally
world,
driven.
in which we have no control over the changes that keep coming on us and that make demands
Right.
on how we educate our children and how we.
Yeah.
And the world is changing so quickly, and there's so much more information.
Yeah.
The amount of information is growing at a rate that is exponentially
exponential.
so much greater than it has ever been. And so to stay on top of it all,
Right.
we all are kind of like hamsters in a wheel. I think every single person probably could experience that
Yep.
in his or her life and in his or her career, simply because that's the reality of the world that we live in today, that we have created.
This is maybe a little off the mark, but is there perhaps a need as part of curriculum for teaching high school students how to handle all this information? Is that already being done?
We are definitely working.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
You mean
though,
how to
Rob.
manage it
There's-
all? How to
there's
manage
so
all of
much-
these things and focus?
I
Is that what you're
remember, I
saying?
don't know who the young man was who spoke at graduation, but his comment about information overload
Oh,
coming in.
yeah, that was
Mr.
Joey.
Kelly.
Yeah, Joey Kelly, yeah.
So, but and if we get all this information, it does you no good if you cannot retrieve it later, and how to go through this process of sifting.
Yeah, I definitely think there has been a focus on that in the new frameworks. There is this push to help children understand what's relevant, what's unnecessary, and how to develop an opinion around a lot of the different things that you're reading or learning about. And so there is definitely a push for that in the new frameworks. It's really it's synthesizing and analyzing and then determining, how do I feel about that? What's my opinion on it?
The frameworks are less,
And so I think it's there.
oh, sorry, Julie.
That's okay. No, that's fine.
The frameworks, we've watched iteration after iteration since 1993 of the frameworks. I mean,
Oh,
they've
yeah.
changed like every 3 years if we're lucky.
Yeah.
But I think the new standards seem to be fewer and a little bit more focused. So I think that's good. I think that's a good sign. I think that's a good sign. I mean, I don't know why they had to, once we, 10 years later, when we're getting really good at the MCAS language, why they had to throw everything into the
Right, change
air
it all
and
up.
change the language, the vocabulary, the standards, the format of the testing, and all of that in one
It's just
felt
like
swoop.
the
I guess I don't
technology
get that.
demonstration, Carol, that you got, which is just
Yeah.
like, oh, we're gonna have a new school with all these smart boards in every classroom. And when the school's done being built, oh, smart boards are old technology, are they?
It's
I think
true.
it's the same thing.
It's
We
true.
understand.
I think sometimes we have a more difficult time than the kids, honestly, because they are so fast.
Because it's new
and
to
they
them.
are so
Whereas for us, when
so
the older
receptive
you get,
to learning
the
new
more you have
things
to
and-
shift.
Yeah.
Okay, that was how it was. But for them, when it's new, it's just, oh, this is how the world is. We have all this information. For some of us,
Yeah.
Well,
we
and
grew up in a much simpler.
we did. We did.
Well,
We're assimilating
I think
a
the
little
teachers,
bit.
I think the
More
teachers often
ourselves.
feel more stress
Yes.
and administrators feel more stressed than the kids do. Because when I go into the schools and I walk around and I see what's going on
The
in the
things they
classrooms.
do are just amazing.
The kids
It's
seem
just
happy
amazing.
and interested and eager to do things. I
true.
don't get a sense of amazing stress in the kids.
They're also being
I'm sure they
respected,
feel
I
it,
think,
but-
and given opportunities to actually, to me, like, I think as a child, I often felt like there were boundaries, and you didn't step over those boundaries in terms of demonstrating your intelligence. I don't see kids having those kinds of boundaries placed on them at all.
Yeah,
See
so,
that in
but
my
I
files,
think the
like,
teachers
really?
and administrators
Yeah,
feel
that's
it. And that's why part of what we try to do is we're trying to connect things so that it doesn't
It makes
feel like
sense.
it's all new. So it makes sense. That's not to say that we don't feel stress, because there's a lot of stress to feel, but there also are not education police that come in and, look at every tiny thing you're doing. So some of that, I think, we do what we need to do to comply, but I think we're still trying to make educationally sound decisions about what gets greater value than other things. We know we cannot do every single thing at the same level, nor is it of the same level of importance, or should it be? So it's finding those ways to connect, so you have some major things that you're doing, and then understanding that some other things may not be done to quite the same level. It's like a big puzzle with all the little pieces, and
And
you
it's,
gotta
I don't know if you've
you
heard
gotta
the
put it
phrase
together.
drip, data-rich, information poor,
Yeah.
which is, we have so much data around, but it doesn't do anybody any good unless we can really interpret what's important,
And
what
use
isn't
it,
important, what action steps should come from that. So, you need to avoid the information poor and take that data and make it really significant, meaningful information, make it information rich.
Yeah.
But that's a process,
Yes.
and that takes cognition and
It does, and a lot of
and
application
dialogue
and
and-
practice, and so that is where the frameworks
Instruction
come
and-
in and help kind of identify what those expectations are and at what grade level, which is really
Right.
great about the new frameworks. It's much more of a, remember when the old first frameworks
Grade
came out,
spans.
there were these giant books and we'd have to say, okay.
And between
this
grades
is seventh
K
grade,
and
I
4,
think. This is
you have
sixth
to know
grade.
this.
But now it's all aligned by grade level,
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
has helped tremendously, so
Yes.
very happy
It's getting
about
there.
that.
It's just that we keep making the changes, and I think that's where people are feeling like the hamster in the wheel.
Yes,
Right.
yes, absolutely.
Well, I think a lot of times we forget, I know as parents, that when our kids are off for the day because of a professional development day, that the teachers and the administrators are still there, and this
This is what we're
is
doing.
what you're doing, only for the betterment of our
Of the kids, yeah.
So I think that really needs to be stressed, because when I looked through this whole packet, I was like, wow, that's a lot for them to do.
It's a lot. And
It
it's
is a lot.
It is a lot, and I think that definitely speaks to what you were talking about today at the State House. It's a lot, and we're trying to manage that and put it in perspective and organize it as we can. But thanks for saying that, because it is definitely one of those questions of
Yeah.
what's
Why are they
happening
not
during that
together?
day.
I know. It really, but until I was on the committee,
Yeah,
you
you
really
wouldn't have known
don't
that.
know, but
Until you get
I'm
it.
saying,
I
we,
find
you know,
myself explaining
this
that
is
to
what we
people
should be
all
showing
the
parents. These are
time.
the programs that we're
Yeah.
teaching our, teaching our teachers, which I think is
Maybe the
great.
website needs, what are your teachers doing today while your kids are at home?
I think
I
it's
think
great,
definitely.
but it does seem like so much information, but
Yes.
I liked the way it was spread out throughout the school year. You know, how you said like the full days are gonna be the focus on these
Yeah.
primary things, and then the half days. I think
Yeah.
it's a good schedule.
Thank you.
And this will be on the website, or it is
Yes.
on the website, so if parents, you really
yes.
wanna know,
There.
Yeah, that's
you
great.
can look it up, you can find out.
Okay. Do you wanna talk just briefly about the
Sure.
software package?
Sure. Come on up, Peter. Come on up, Peter. This has been our other project.
Yes, this has been a major project
one.
for both Peter and Julie. I think they earned a doctorate degree in negotiation.
Information tech, oh, yeah.
Oh, I kind of like that. We chose a package. It's called Oasis from the company is My Learning Plan. And we went and we looked at a lot of packages, and I think every district has an idea of how they want to do it, and I think not a lot of them are the same. So what we were really looking for is somebody that we felt confident would really be able to customize this process to the way we think that we want to do it. And it came down to two companies, and it was a really difficult decision. I mean, Julie and I kept every day we would say,
Call Kara every day.
yeah.
I think we're gonna.
At the end of the week, we'll have
every
it
day we'd say, okay, today we're going to pick one. And I,
So it was that close though. because-
oh yeah,
Oh, it
yeah,
was.
and we, they both had some strengths that the other ones didn't have.
That was the
So that was really the tug, and we just tortured the sales reps. Just like one more time. Can we just ask you one more
Can you
question?
run through this one
Yeah,
more
can
time?
you
Another
just-
demo, another demo. They said, we said, we've never done so many demos for one district before.
That's
So-
what they're there for.
Yeah, and actually, now that we've picked this product, now the real work begins. So we have to. We're in the process of picking the forms, and kind of got put on hold with all of the end of the year activities. But we'll get to that right away next week, and hopefully run those forms by the committee.
Yep.
And the association, the GEA, and when we get that all set, we'll be ready to set it up. And then there's a lot of technical work that has to be done, and then a lot of training. And a lot of train the trainers, and
But it's one way, it'll be a way to keep all of the information in one place, which is not the case now. We have a
Right.
file for this and a file for this, and,
Yeah.
15
And-
different forms.
yeah,
50 different
and it's
forms.
really a different process now, because it's much more collaborative with the teacher and the evaluator. So they both contribute to the process. So basically, what it's going to look like is the major form you're going to work off is the rubric, the final rubric, and you'll be able, both the teacher and the evaluator will be able to go into this form, this rubric, and see where they need to put some documentation and some evidence. So that's basically how it'll work. And after a while, I may look at the rubric and tell a teacher, on standard 2, I don't have too much under this particular item. When do you think you'll be doing something like that? And then, I'll pop in and see it, and you can just place it right in there. And I think it's going to be a good process. But I also think that we'll have to tweak it as time goes on. I think it'll look a little bit different next year than it does this year.
Absolutely, that makes so much
Yeah.
sense. You have to
And
guide
that
them.
was we wanted to make sure a company A was going to do that for us,
Right.
and B, not charge us for that.
Yeah.
So
Very
we,
good.
right, Joan?
We are the masters of figuring out how to do things very creatively.
They had a track record
Yes.
Yes.
They did, and that's probably why we went with this company.
That's huge.
Yeah, the other company didn't have a. We would be the Massachusetts guinea pigs.
The pilot.
Yeah.
The pilot.
They've done
for
another
the-
But
states.
they've done it, and they have a strong record in Michigan and some of the other states, but not the mass model.
The administrators also did a little, like Brian, I know, reached out to his professional organization, and Margaret went and visited a friend of hers who's a principal in Beverly who uses this particular system and actually shadowed her while she was doing it and got feedback. So we tried also to go beyond just what the consultants or the
Sales reps
vendors
were
were
doing.
saying,
Good. That's
but
great.
to try and talk to folks who are actually using it.
Yeah, and it's a good thing we did that because the product that we thought we were going to use, and actually I felt that one of our professional development providers was really pushing this product. And after seeing this in a couple schools, we decided that it wasn't that good.
Yeah.
So
Good.
Great.
it went from first to last.
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
Does this, in our industry, you get locked into certain software programs, and as years go by, they've got you, and it's impossible to switch, or at huge cost.
Yeah, that's like an information management system.
Yeah, that's
Right.
kind of like where we're at with our student information management
We use
system.
Rediker. Yeah. Yeah, but no, I don't think that's the case for this one, though.
No.
It's on a much smaller scale than a
It
student
is.
information
Oh, yeah.
management system. The other thing with this one, Oasis, my learning plan has other facets of it. So this is the teacher evaluation component, but the other thing that appealed to Julie was that they have a whole component that allows you to track all of the professional development of each individual teacher. So that when they go to recertify, they can have everything in one spot.
Oh,
You know,
graduate credits.
PDP certificates that Julie now has to do by hand. When we award the PDP certificates, that can all be generated from the software. You know, I mean, I think that's one of the major things we've worked on over the last several years has been, you know, trying to realize that time is money.
Yes.
And that the more you can automate, as long as the databases talk to one another and work collaboratively with one another, it's amazing, you know, how
that's
much
great.
more efficient you can be. So we aren't recommending purchasing that professional development component at this point in time, because we really wanna concentrate on this particular thing. But
next
but
year
this
we'll
was
hear
the,
about it.
Yeah,
but
we
this
can
was,
talk
but
about it
this was
again.
actually the only one of the programs that they looked at that had another kind of potential opportunity for us that might fill another need that we have, that
That's great.
it would link with it.
The other thing was the free ability to upload student data within the system. Like, one of the things that I look for is obviously the My Learning Plan I love with the whole professional development side. But it also has an assessment side where you can upload your data and take a look at things across district, which was very appealing to me.
That's
So
wonderful.
we have that capacity as well, and just kind of, I like to find things that tie as many things together as possible, so that we're all kind of
It's
working
all
out
about
of,
connections.
yes, working out of one location and not 15.
Yes.
This question may not be appropriate to the scale of this, but when I look at, this is like a terms and conditions. Does legal take a look at these, or is it all?
Sometimes.
I reviewed
Joan
it. Peter
reviewed-
brought it down to me to review, and it's pretty standard language.
Yep.
So, I mean,
No hidden loopholes
No.
or
If we
or
have,
things
but
to
we
that.
often do have, you know, contracts that are quite involved, we
That you
definitely
will-
do.
yeah.
This is only a year commitment
Yeah.
also,
Right.
so,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Good point.
No, it looks good. I'm glad you found one.
It was
You
a-
were
it was
both
a
happy.
process.
I'm sure everyone's happy it's over.
I really have to, I really do have to thank these two though, because, you know, it was a busy time of year and they.
Doesn't Ipswich use this too? Didn't we talk about that?
Switch.
Mike, I don't know, I thought.
I'm not sure if
Thought when we
Ipswich
I don't know if,
but we do
I
have a
don't
list
know
of
if
other
Ipswich has
other
made a
towns
decision
in-
as to what, because they're on the same schedule we are, they're needing to implement.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Next year. We used a lot of,
Their language.
help with them in our documents,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, it looks good.
Thank you guys,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
You won't be brokenhearted if they don't stay for the financial piece, will you?
Have a
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay. Superintendent's information for the committee. Did anybody have any questions about that? Thank you for including all these things in there, which is great because I lost mine from
Oh.
Dominic's night, so I
Oh.
thought that was great that I got it.
That was so cute.
Yeah.
Dominic was an awfully cute little
Dog.
dog.
Thank you. Okay, so no questions about that? Do we know? Okay, so we can go right to financial.
So, there's three things in your packet, from me. One is line item transfers. I told you the past couple of months that you'd be getting a rather lengthy list to try to balance out all the accounts. So, as you can see at the end of the report, the accounts I moved money into, unfortunately, we're still in the negative in the tuitions, even after moving the monies. But, I mean, I've been pretty clear about that probably since February, that it looked like we were gonna have to tap circuit breaker. This report would say that we were tapping circuit breaker for just the tuitions to private schools. But we also we're over in tuition to collaborative. So in addition, we're gonna be hitting circuit breaker for probably, I would guess, around that amount of money, probably 130, 140. As we've gone through, as we're trying to close out the books, and some of you may be familiar with it or not, as we liquidate all our encumbrances now that we've gotten the invoices in, there's special ed encumbrances that we're not gonna realize the expense that we initially thought, which is typical. Kids have been absent, some schools don't charge you, the private schools don't charge you when the kid's not there. The transportation is really hard to project out because you then again base it on 180 days of school. Kids are absent. A lot of times the bus company doesn't charge us if they don't pick up
Just
the
ask you
kid.
a question about that. So you're saying that if a child doesn't go to school that day,
Some schools do not charge you.
okay, so it's a per day, like they get it down so much as a per day.
Correct.
But the
Lot-
transportation is still,
No, transportation sometimes, but see, remember, we don't just use one company for
Right.
transportation. So if we have a van, say a company that we get a van for one kid,
Yeah.
and the kid's out of school for a week, we call ahead, we know the kid's gonna be out for a week, the kid's away, kid's sick, whatever. Then they don't charge you necessarily all the time. So it's very hard to pinpoint exactly where you're gonna have, if you're gonna use your whole purchase order that you encumbered. So Julie's experience in the past has been that, as she liquidates and liquidates and liquidates, you're gonna have money left. Well, I assure you, you're not having money left.
yeah.
But the dependence on circuit breaker will be less than I was originally thinking. I'm not sure I shared with you what I was originally thinking. I was up around 180, 190 at one point about 6 weeks ago that we would tap into. But as we've closed
Yeah, I
out.
don't think you mentioned that amount.
Probably
I
not.
would have remembered it, but I know you said it was a substantial amount.
Right, so as we go through and we are liquidating the encumbrances, we are finding pieces of money that, we just keep telling up. So I'll give a end of the year report, probably, I'm not sure it'll be at the July meeting because they're posting the warrants July 15th. Now, whether we completely close out and can get a good report for you by then, don't know, it might be August before you get the final report. So this, basically, all these transfers is just trying to clean up the accounts. A lot of districts don't do this. I didn't do this in my last district. I always just watch the bottom line at the end of the year because it's a lot of work for somebody to do. I had to go through all the lines. Now Julie will have to go and enter all the.
The committee here has always wanted to see the zeros. they've always wanted to see it get to zero.
get to zero. I understand that, but, you know, it is a lot of work, and it's,
It
it's a, you know, crunch time of year for my office to try to close out, and we're dictated to our closeout dates based upon what the town tells us. And in the meantime, they're doing the town audit right now, so we've been kind of pulled a little bit, so, I can't guarantee you'll have a report, end of the year report in July, but you'll definitely have it in August, because I'll have to start my end of the year report for the state then, so.
And I don't think we even have a meeting date yet for August.
We do.
We do?
Was it the 28th, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Did we,
With the school.
Yes,
Yeah, it was the 20.
oh, that's right, we did it last, because it was supposed to originally be the 29th.
There were a couple of you
That's
that
right,
had,
it's a
yeah, some
Wednesday night
conflicts,
now,
so we
right?
made a
Okay.
switch.
But in the meantime, we're scheduling a budget
plans,
finance
yeah.
meeting. At that, hopefully, you know, I still may not be able to produce the document, but hopefully we'll be able to tell you exactly where we ended up, what we used of circuit breaker monies, so you know where we stand for next year, what we have left in choice. And then I'll do what we did last year for FinCom in the summer, which was do a complete report of all the revolving accounts, so you know what the balances of all the revolving accounts are. So that will be in the budget finance meeting in July. I'm not sure we have a date yet, but
Yeah, I
I
think
saw
we're
dates
working
going
on
around,
that.
but-
Right. We did have a date. Was it the 24th?
I don't know if
For?
I don't know if I have that information. Budget finance.
we originally said the 16th.
Wasn't there a discussion?
And then it went
I
to
might have
some other
been to
date.
that meeting or something.
Remember there was it was gonna be earlier in the month?
It was gonna be the 16th.
Yeah.
Because I said, oh,
Yes,
it's
and
on
I
my birthday. And the next thing I know, everybody started
I
sending
think
emails
Pam-
around,
I
it
think-
changed.
No, I think Pam, your son has a hockey thing or something that week, right? So we were moving it to the 23rd. Remember this?
Right, that
Okay.
finance
Right,
meeting,
yeah.
correct.
Yep. So I think you were a part of that, Rob.
I was.
Yes.
So at that meeting, I'll be able to give you, you know, absolutely, we'll be closed. I'll be able to give you what we tapped circuit breaker for, and then the revolving accounts.
That kind of works for
Yeah, actually it does
schedule.
work, right.
Good, great.
July 23rd.
Yep.
So and the only other piece under the business part is I just wanted to let you know that we did get late in the year, we haven't even received the money yet,
For finance and budget.
is the small piece of money, $12,000 of foundation reserve award, so it's to offset a special ed cost, so, I mean, it was a nice thing to get, we were only one of 11 districts to get it, so.
It is.
Correct.
And you know, we often don't get those things. I don't know why. I think because we're small and I don't know. But
There was 5 or 6 different categories, and the only one we fell into was this. They talked about your target share aid, and they would tell you what to look for, and you just go back to your end of the year report. It's based on last year's end of the year report, so you just went back and looked, and if you fall into this, you'd have this. This was easy because we had that student that was out of district in a behavioral setting, so it was an easy one, and so it was based on last year's expense.
Now, let me ask you a question about these grants. How did you find out about this?
It comes through the DOE website, through the superintendent's page,
So
and
do you get like a list of all of them that you could apply for?
Yeah.
well, yeah, there are different kinds of grants.
Right.
So there's allocation grants, which
Mhm.
is what we usually get.
Right.
Certain amount of Title I money based on a formula. Then there are competitive grants, which we can choose to apply for. And then there are these kind of grants that come through the state that are for extraordinary,
Right.
one-time, that's it, help.
This is very late too.
Yes.
We just, I applied in March, I think it was March, and then.
John was shocked when I said, oh, we got $12,000.
Because I had gotten an initial response that said we weren't eligible, so I just kind of threw it away and said, okay, well, I tried and we didn't get it. But then, I think what the state is, with the pothole, it's called pothole money.
Yeah, it's an interesting term.
I know.
It's money that they either didn't expect in revenues or didn't get expended. So all of a sudden they get this money, but other places I've been and I've received it's been in the fall, so you can plan for it.
Right.
We'll probably get it posted June 30th. So luckily, we have extraordinary special ed expenses that we can use it for, so,
$12,000.
Yeah,
right?
every little
Yeah,
bit.
that's awesome.
Saves
For sure.
$12,000 on circuit breaker for
Right,
next year.
That's right. Yep.
So,
Thank
so
you,
I
Joan.
don't know if you have any questions, but you need a motion?
They need a motion.
Need a
Oh, the
motion?
transfers.
Approve the
Sorry.
transfers.
Yes.
I don't know. No, because I didn't write about the finance, so just
Oh,
entertaining a
So-
motion to accept the transfers, approve the transfer.
The chair will entertain a motion to accept the item line transfers.
And the amount of, she always said the amount. Didn't she? Oh, and she said the line. The line numbers.
From, right, what, 219 to,
Keep going.
219, line item numbers 219 through 381.
oh, I think it's 385.
I mean, 385, yeah, thank you. 385, in the amount of $196,084.33.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for that information.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're gonna move along to, subcommittee reports, right? Okay, so budget and finance, you have a meeting scheduled July 23rd. Governance,
We met this evening. We came up with our plan for our future meetings and for how we are going to review the policy manual this year, which section we are going to attack. And we met with Peter Lucia about a new policy that he would like to have us create to add to the manual, and recognized we need to spend some time working on that policy, and we will continue to discuss it.
oh, good. Okay, that was a productive meeting.
That was a productive
That's
meeting.
good. Yeah. It's always good to set forth like dates a couple, right, in advance, even though they might get changed, but it is good to kind
Then
of
you
set.
plan on it.
Yeah.
Laura likes that.
What about negotiation subcommittees? We haven't met. Right?
No.
I'm forgetting which meetings I go to and which ones I don't. Public relations,
We have not met.
okay, safety, you haven't met.
No,
Well,
gave us
actually,
the-
no.
Last week, yeah, you gave, last
yeah, you
meeting, you
mentioned it
gave us
last
that.
time.
So you won't have another one until the beginning of the fall?
Right.
Right, okay. School building committee?
Everything's moving along fast. Pembroke, that project.
That project.
It,
Big project.
bid documents are gonna be going out August 8th, so we're probably at 98% complete right now. There are still some design decisions that are being made by subcommittees getting together with site and with building, but everything's on schedule and everything is on budget. And in fact, in the latest estimate, for the 90% complete construction documents, we were, correct me if I'm wrong, we were
Yep.
1.5 million under budget.
Yeah, I don't know that I knew the exact number, I think I might have missed that discussion, but there,
It was-
what I heard the other night at the meeting regarding the interior and exterior materials
Yeah.
was that it was $1 million, so
Yeah.
anyway, yeah.
Yeah, and so so anyways, under budget at this point in time,
At
and
this point,
in the end, it could easily go back to what
Yeah.
it was, but that's great
Yeah, it's better
news.
than over.
Yeah, a lot better than over.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's
Select
entertaining over.
contractors in October, start construction in November, and the next meetings for Pembroke are July 9th, July 30th, and then August 20th. So the next
Wow.
meeting is July 9th, and those are all at Town Hall. And then the Georgetown Middle High School has the same schedule, because we're meeting right prior to the Pembroke project.
Now, is there anything going on with that? Anything that we need to know about that?
Right now, they're in the feasibility study phase,
Right.
and that goes till April 2014 from October, no, that goes to October. And then in October, we begin the schematic design, which is, they will be coming, I'm sure, to give a summary of the feasibility study at the end of September about, because then it's October that they begin schematic design. And then schematic design goes from October to April 2014, and then it's town meeting vote.
And can you tell me
May
the amount
2014.
that
We
we're
don't know-
looking at?
there's no amount.
Do we have any idea though, like a ballpark or just?
No, they had some beginning numbers they were talking about the
It's just not
other.
even, it's not even worth, I mean, they had a range of
Yeah.
2 to 4 million, and then went 3 to 5
Five,
million,
yeah.
and
Oh,
so.
okay.
Depends on what gets included.
Okay.
I think the way they did it, Rob, if I'm right, is they had like the things that would be required.
Yeah.
And then they had the things that kind of would be, important to have
Mhm.
in addition. And then they had the things that people had said they'd like to
Liked,
have.
okay. So it's
But
like a
those were
tiered-
very, yes, so I think it was a tiered kind of approach.
Okay.
And there's a lot of work, like Rob said, to do on that for sure.
I mean, so it's the feasibility is all the way till,
still got a ways to go.
Which town meeting did you say?
Spring.
Spring of
Yeah,
14.
2014.
Okay.
2014 spring would be when the town would be voting to.
Now, I think, Rob, you're gonna do, on the July meeting, you're gonna do a little update for the committee on the
Yeah.
Pembroke, cause that's gonna be pretty much all
Yeah.
complete, right? I mean,
Yep.
design's pretty much complete.
Yep.
Ellie and Michelle are not available to come,
I
but
saw
they
that.
asked if Rob would go over, and he knows him, I'd help him if he needs help. But, at least you could see the updated design and, you know,
That's nice.
where it is.
Okay.
We'll do it on the 25th, right?
Now, the turf, committee, we don't have a date to meet.
No, they're trying to, I don't know if you guys have gotten together, I know Sandy Garrity, had been wanting to put together some draft documents based on other documents that she had gathered, for a review by a little subcommittee that's of that group. I don't think you've met yet, have you?
No, so Mike contributed some examples.
Okay, great.
I contributed some
Oh,
examples.
good, okay.
And Sandy contributed some examples.
Okay,
And the next step is to meet
okay, perfect.
and pull those.
I think they were hoping to have, come back in in August, was, I think, the initial hope was to have the committee be able to review all that in August, anticipating being able to go out and do the bid. I think that's
Yeah.
hopefully that can still work for a timeline.
I think that is true. In fact, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay, good.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah.
Okay, Baker Adams application modification discussion. Do we have everybody, I thought we had everybody's, right, everybody contributed to what they thought should be changed, or what we could work on. So I thought having a subcommittee work on it together, take all those, recommendations and work together to, come up with something that we all think would be beneficial to not just the committee, but also to the students that are applying for the scholarships. So we're looking for committee members that would like to serve on it, like a subcommittee to do that.
Should be temporary.
Yeah,
It'd be like a
just an
one or
ad
two
hoc.
meeting thing. We would come together one time, we would
I
discuss
think- I
those.
can't imagine it
You
would be.
could bring people's you can look at
We'd
everybody's
look at everyone's
feedback.
feedback together, we'd come up with
Yeah, I
a
can't
proposal
imagine
for
it
the
being any more
committee.
than one or two meetings.
Yeah, that's what I think. I would be happy to do that.
Okay. I could do it, too, does anybody else wanna, I mean, what do you think?
How
Two
many people are you
Two?
looking
Two is
for?
fine.
You
I
think
think it's fine.
Two is probably fine.
Okay,
Subcommittees are generally two of a committee of five, because
Yeah.
otherwise you're gonna have a quorum.
all right, okay, so we can do that.
I would just ask that we do it in August or September, maybe after
Yeah,
school
that's
starts.
fine.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm
of
really
course,
busy this
yeah.
Something you have to have, yeah.
We don't need it
You
for
don't
a
need to
while,
have it.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's just,
fine.
yeah,
That's
but,
fine with me.
great,
Sure.
great.
Okay, so we will, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the creation of an ad hoc subcommittee to revise the Baker Adams scholarship process and to appoint Barbie Lenaris and Alana Pellid to serve on the subcommittee.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? No. All in favor? Aye. Great, thank you. Okay, and now new business. Declaration of surplus technology.
Yes. So we have some new computer technology at Pearlie. And our network technician, Barry Belanger, who really oversees all of the machinery, monitors. He's always fixing a computer, cobbing something together, he does a yeoman's work. He said that the computers that are in the lab are really just not worth anything.
Right.
They were donated originally, and I would love to offer them to any member of the public who would be interested, but I really, Barry just feels that they are slow, old, they're really just not useful. And as much as we hate to throw anything away, there's also no place to store them. So we do know of a local company who, works with school districts to appropriately dispose of them and or, if there are parts in, them that they could use for their work, but we just want to declare them surplus and, move on. They've served us well, but they've outlived their useful life now.
Need to do it.
Right. Okay. So the chair will entertain a motion to declare the list of technology items recommended by network technician Barry Belanger as surplus and dispose of them by proper protocol as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And the appointment of the school committee secretary. Laura has graciously accepted that position once again this year, and we appreciate her for doing everything that she does for us.
Very much.
Somehow we missed that appointment when we were making remember all those appointments on that agenda?
I think she was
Page agenda?
wondering if someone else was gonna.
Oh, I don't
step
know.
up. So
I think we
thank you,
just
Laura.
Forgot it for some reason, huh, Laura?
So the chair will entertain a motion to appoint Laura Markarian as school committee secretary from July 1st, 2013 through June 30th, 2014 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And it's the second reading of policy ACEA, discrimination harassment. So we're gonna adopt this.
That's right.
Okay. So the chair will entertain a motion to adopt policy ACEA, discrimination harassment as presented.
So moved.
Second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And it does say that we're having an executive session, but I don't believe we are.
I think that was up to you. I think you had,
You think so?
asked to talk about my contract.
Right.
But you haven't met, so.
Yeah, that's why I
Yeah,
thought, because
that's fine.
we were supposed to
That's
meet.
fine.
Laura, is that okay?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
okay.
fine.
So there will be no need for an executive session.
Woohoo.
So, meeting adjourned at 8:40.
So
Yeah, get a motion.
Oh.
Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:40 PM.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
No.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
My daughter's watching.